Okay, so we're going to go through question 15. If you're struggling with this, I strongly recommend you to refer to question 14, look through that, pause, reflect, then give this one a go before watching this video. If you're just watching me do things, you're never going to learn. You have to give it a go yourself. Okay, so question 15. If it takes 4 workers 4 hours to dig 4 holes, how long will it take 2 workers to dig 6 holes? Okay, so when you've got questions like this, just write out what you know. I have 4 workers who, in 4 hours, can dig 4 holes. I now want to change this 4 into a 2 and this 4 into a 6. Now, there isn't a right or wrong way to do this. Just start with whichever you like. I think I'll begin by halving the amount of workers. So, if I halve the amount of workers, that means I have now 2 workers. And hey presto, that's what I wanted. I wanted 2 workers. And I think what I'm also going to do is I'm going to change this 4 holes. So I'll leave this 4 hours the same. And I'll change this 4 holes. So if I now have less workers, guess what? In the same amount of time, they can do less work. So if I have less workers, they can do less work. So that's going to result in less holes. So do you see how I'm kind of thinking through what's happening here? So there's going to be less holes if there's less workers. And this is for the same amount of time. So 4 divided by 2 will be 2 holes. Once I've done that, I now need to get these holes to be 6 holes. So that means I'm going to have to times this one by 6. Now, if I do, I'm going to times it by 3. Because 2 times 3 is 6. There you go. So I've now got 6 holes. Fantastic. That's what I wanted. And remember, I still need to keep this one as 2 workers. That has to stay the same. But now, if I'm digging more holes but have the same amount of workers, it's going to take more time. That makes sense. So if it's going to take more time, I'm going to have to times this one by 3. So if I'm timesing this one by 3, I'll times this one by 3. It's going to take a longer amount of time. So that's going to be 12 hours. And that is my answer. My answer is 12 hours. Okay, so that's a really good way to approach this question. But again, there's more than one way to approach it. So let's do it again. If you're satisfied with this explanation, you can leave now. But let's try another way to do this. So let's come over here. Let's just remind ourselves that we need 2 workers and 6 holes. All right, so I always think it's easiest to start with the workers. So I would always begin by dividing this one by 2 to get me 2 workers. And then that one's done. I've got 2 workers. But let's say instead of, do you see how over here we then changed the holes? What if instead we changed the hours? So if I have less workers, but I'm still digging 4 holes because I'm not changing this one, guess what? It's going to take longer because I have less workers. So I'm going to have to actually times this one by 2 because it's going to take longer if I have less people but digging the same amount of holes. So this is now going to become 8 holes. 8 hours rather. Now I've got my 2 workers, but now this has to become 6 holes. Now at the moment it's 4, which is a pain because in order to get it to 6, we're first going to have to divide by 4. So it's going to become 1 hole. So I'm using kind of my unitary method here. I'm keeping this as 2 workers because that's what the question is asking. That has to stay the same. But if I have now less holes, guess what? It will take less amount of time. So I'll divide this one by 4 as well. And 8 divided by 4 is 2 hours. So I have less holes, so it takes less amount of time. So it's now going to be 2 hours. But remember, what we wanted is 6 holes. So I'm now going to have to times this one by 6 which is going to leave me with 6 holes. I have to keep my workers the same, so 2 workers. And then over here, if I'm digging more holes, it's going to take me longer. It's going to take me a longer amount of time to do it. So I have to times this one by 6 as well. And 2 times 6 is 12. So 12 hours. So 12 hours is my answer. And guess what? That's what we saw before. So hopefully you believe me when I say there's more than one way to do these things. And that is how you should approach it. So either one of these is good. This one is a lot simpler, isn't it? Because there was less steps. This is a more efficient way to do it. But who cares? I got the same answer. Doesn't matter. Hope you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.